Ladies and gentlemen, I don't get up here and say all these things, have a sensational show. Believe me, reality is sensational. Reality is dangerous, it's crazy, it's real. And I never imagined 21 years ago going on air, local access and local radio, I'd be here with tens of millions of people every week conservatively. It's way more than that. It's ridiculous. Tuning in all over the world. But the good news is the facts we're covering are what the real insiders, good and bad, know is going on. The elite have been so arrogant for decades, they've admitted so much of their plan so their own people could understand it, thinking you'd never go look it up. Well, we've been making preparations to resist, to slow this down. It's over 15 years behind, most experts agree, but now they're accelerating. We're going to talk to Mr. Rawls about where this system of betrayal is going, the caliphate they're setting up. Clearly the elite are allied with radical Islam, turning it loose to take over the rest of Islam and to bring it into our countries. That's happening. That's one area I underestimated. It's so bold, it's so over the top that I would hear people like Rawls saying this 10 years ago, and I thought, yeah, I could see that down the road, but, you know, not in 10, 20 years. Well, it's happening quicker. So I got to say that we're going to really be focusing on this a lot, obviously. Before I go any further, the soils, as you know, are depleted in most areas, so a lot of the food you eat, a lot of the vegetables you eat just don't have the trace elements, all the different vitamins and minerals you need. We've developed, with our research at InfoWarsLife.com, an amazingly concentrated, strong system with all the minerals, all the vitamins, the amino acids, you name it, in the newest product, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, Advanced Multivitamin Formulation at InfoWarsLife.com. And this is just a super product. It's so good for yourself, for your children, for your husband, your wife. It's such a great gift to give. Old people, most of them have absorption problems because of all the, you know, how dead their gut is. Get your grandparents, get your parents on a good probiotic. Get them on something like Vitamin Mineral Fusion and watch what happens. The amount of energy I get from this is incredible, and it doesn't have any stimulants in it. It's just that it is from plant-derived, highest quality sources, and there's only a few things in here that are laboratory produced, and those are of the highest quality and of the highest standards, absolutely pure. It's an amazing product. 2+ years. I could have gone and gotten hundreds of products, private labeled, had them super cheap, rolled them out. Yeah, they'd be pretty good, but I wanted to be able to say, this is the best we could come up with. It's a game changer. This is so good, we're going to probably end up putting this in stores, you name it, because, I mean, this is just over the top, over the top. We use one of the biggest producers of, you know, organic, high-quality, natural supplements out there to produce this. We're going to be talking about that in the future. InfoWarsLife.com. And I have a glass at lunch every day. My children, I get them to drink it in the morning before they go to school, and they absolutely love it. It's fruit punch flavor. You can sign up for auto ship, cancel anytime, get 10% off this order and everything else you order. Orders above $50 get free shipping as well at InfoWarsStore.com. That's the blanket store. And then the subsection for the nutraceuticals, InfoWarsLife.com. And I also promote the longevity line because their products are excellent. You can find all those products, and your purchase there helps fund our operation at InfoWarsHealth.com or InfoWarsTeam.com. But find Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Anthroplex, by the way, is about to sell out. Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2, Super Male and Super Female Vitality, and more. And look, all we do is go out and go to the most known for thousands of years herbs for male vitality, female vitality, concentrate them in a proprietary process and sell that. Or our lung cleanse is dozens and dozens and dozens of the best herbs concentrated down to oil base so that it really does help your throat when it's sore or hurting. Other stuff will have like 2 or 3 ingredients and some alcohol. This is oil, folks. The only problem is the sprayer gets clogged quite a bit. You got to put it under hot water and wash it out a lot because it's just such an incredible essential oil. Check out all the products, InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. And things are getting so serious that I myself am redoubling my efforts to have basic medical equipment, firearms, ammunition, going out shooting, an area in the country that's safer to get to. I hope it doesn't get to that, but the depression's here. It's going to get worse. Society's already unraveling. The police state isn't going to save us. We're going to talk about preparedness with Mr. Rawls as well coming up. Survivalblog.com. Again, formerly with Army Intelligence. And, of course, nobody in the Army ever brags about the stuff they did. But I ran into a colonel and then to another lieutenant colonel that we talked to. And then I ran into another gentleman who I'd met before but looked up. He's in civilian life now, developing stuff for different agencies. And he told me his name and gave me his card. I forget it's at home, but I was out at the courthouse taking care of something, and he was saying, oh, yeah, you know, Rawls used to work for me. He's a great guy. So I've had 3 different people who tune into the show, you know, just talking about the great stuff Mr. Rawls has done for America, which we'll never hear about, you know, the quiet professionals. But he just really knows what he's talking about, and we love having him on. I want to get into the Caliphate, your latest novel, which is a smart way to educate people, obviously. They seem to listen to stuff that's fiction, even though it's real, versus stuff that's real. They seem to ignore it. But we'll talk about that as well. But survival, the economy, where you think Obama's going, the rest of it. But as we went to break, Mr. Rawls, you brought up the situation with the age of deception, the age of betrayal. Is this the beginning of the fall? Why are they so naked now? What do you think of Donald Trump? Why are they so scared of him? Because quite frankly, I didn't trust him a year ago because he's involved in casinos and things, and I'm not into really being super flashy. It kind of turns me off. But at the same time, he was against NAFTA and GATT 20 years ago. He is a nationalist. I know people that know him before he ever ran for office that said, oh, you didn't know Donald Trump's anti-New World Order? And so all this clicked for me about 6-7 months ago that they're scared of him for some reason. This couldn't be a foil. This couldn't be a double cross, could it? But I want your real view on that as well. But let's get into the age of betrayal, the age of deception, where you think the world is right now, and then into this election and into the caliphate.
Well, Alex, I think that Donald Trump, I think, is popular because he represents at least an outsider to the political system. And people are definitely fed up with insider after insider after insider being offered up as candidates. And while I don't think Donald Trump is a perfect candidate, I think that he at least resonates with a lot of people as representing old school American nationalism, national sovereignty, and as a counterbalance to the forces of international banking. Now, unfortunately, he has some compromises in his background that make him kind of suspect because of actually connections to the Clintons of all people, and his many business connections with the bankers. So I find it really difficult to believe that he's a true outsider, but he certainly represents more of an outsider than
sure.
than certainly than Hillary or Sanders, for example.
Let me ask you this then. The all-hands-on-deck scenario, and I agree with what you just said, the all-hands-deck scenario from the communist Chinese government, the Mexican government, the former president, the British government, to the Pope, to you name it, coming, every magazine, every newspaper coming out against him. I see real hysteria and real hate and real concern, and the big billionaires getting together and giving hundreds of millions to beat him. I see that as them legitimately hitting the panic button because they see the nationalism he's saying, even if he's not really a good guy, is irrevocable damage to them. But it also shows how arrogant they are to think we can have all these foreign governments lecture us how deep into globalist colonialism we really are.
The amount of vitriol that's being directed against him is evidence that the powers that be are feeling very nervous, very anxious, that they're losing control of the political process. Because for years and years, we've had political party A versus political party B, and lo and behold, the candidates for both of those parties have been insiders. They've all been CFR or trilateral commission related individuals. Every time we've been given a so-called choice on the ballot that really isn't a choice. It's either political insider A or political insider B. And for them to see Trump on the horizon is truly, truly frightening to them, to see anything outside of their stage-managed operation.
So we're seeing a de facto response to populism, whether he be real or not. it's kind of like, putting up a fake owl to scare away crows. They just see an owl and are upset. They don't know if it's real or not. They're trying to figure out if it's real, but it scares them.
Yes, that's essentially it. The folks that want to control the whole game, really, they want to control us economically, politically, in every sphere, basically. Look at people like Donald Trump as wild cards, and because he's outside of their control, he is unpredictable. It really throws a monkey wrench into their plans.
Do you think he realizes how much danger he's in?
Probably not. Anyone who goes up against Hillary Clinton ought to be really, really worried.
Damn right.
His chances of making it at body temperature to the election, I would say, are actually fairly small.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised to see that he mysteriously dies of an aneurysm or a heart attack or something, anything. But the chances of him making to the election, I think, are small if he truly is the threat that they think he is.
Have you ever, in your decades of being politically involved, 30 years or so since you got out of the Army, have you ever, Mr. Rawls, James Wesley Rawls, survivalblog.com, joining us, one of the top, most respected survivalists and global security experts out there, I mean, not just with the general public, but with the Pentagon, you name it, everybody really respects him than I know. Have you ever seen a more dangerous time, not just for America, but the world? I mean, this is just, for me, looking at this is unprecedented. The amount of dominoes lined up, the amount of triggers being thrown, the elite scurrying around building armored redoubts. I mean, government all over the world is acting like something big is coming.
It's truly unprecedented because if you look at the mountain of debt and the scale of the derivatives that have built up, that's one huge threat. And meanwhile, geopolitically, we see a regional war in Syria that could very well blow up into World War III. And we see tension in the South China Sea, which could very well blow up into another world war. We are truly in uncharted waters here. We have a situation where the global economy is teetering on the brink. We have the central banks are right now in the process of going to sub-zero interest rates, which is an absolute panic move. They have basically run out of ammunition in the economic
That's
war.
like injecting adrenaline directly into the heart.
Yeah, I think that at this point, we are teetering on the brink of either economic collapse or global war as kind of the final option for the insiders to have their way. Because without either of those, we're just simply going to see the truth come out. What's happened with the Panama Papers, I think, is just one little glimpse of the extent of the international financial web that exists.
Well, from what I've seen, it looks like it's a Western attempt to just go after Putin, and certainly Putin's involved in a bunch of this stuff, but it seems selective to some mid-level networks.
It's highly selective, yes. And if you'll notice, they're mainly pointing the finger at African dictators, for example, with these trust arrangements with, bearer number one or bearer number two, for example, as the beneficiaries. The serious money, the big money, is being traded in the hot markets every day. It's not these tiny little, I say relatively tiny, these billion-dollar trusts that are being set up by to benefit the children of Middle Eastern and African dictators are small change compared to the trillions of dollars that are flowing internationally, the manipulation that's going on in the currency markets. You mentioned earlier credit default swaps. People have no idea about the scope of the derivatives trading that goes on. A CDS, a credit default swap, is a form of derivative, and that it's so well refined as a derivative that a movement as small as 1/10 of 1% of an interest rate can put a major shockwave through the system. And unfortunately, the way this derivatives casino has built up, it's so finely tuned that when a big swing does happen, where interest rates move a whole percentage point or 2 percentage points, it's going to absolutely collapse the system.
Well, James, I want to talk triggers with you. I want to get into caliphate. And I just want to go ahead and I'm going to have you through the whole next hour. We're going to have reporters on in the 4th hour with David Knight. He has another guest popping in as well. But looking at this, here's a Telegraph article. China jitters could trigger global market bloodbath. IMF warns. I love how the very progenitors of this whole scam warn us. And you know, the former head of the Fed that helped give us the derivatives with Clinton, Greenspan, warns us of irrational exuberance. It's like selling a kid a bag full of crack and giving them a pipe and saying, look out, this might be addicting. But it's just amazing. But getting back to things I see as problems that nobody talks about. And I'm not bragging when I say one thing that launched our show, unbeknownst to me, like 19 years ago, is I put out some police state films showing the military training for gun confiscation and things domestically. Mm-hmm. And then the Army and Marines said, don't watch Alex Jones videos and don't go to his website. Well, that meant I suddenly had this huge audience of the military tune in. What was the establishment thinking? Because my audience probably quadrupled overnight when they started doing that. That actually launched us, was them saying, don't go here. So they seem like they're smart, but they also seem like they're dumb. Now, I was totally unpolished. Them still aren't, but knew more than the average person. So the show got very popular. I became a source because then all these people started giving me stuff because nobody else would talk about it. Here we are 20 years later, and the military listens to the show. Foreign governments listen to it. They listen to others like it, but it shows how bad the rest of the media is that we're some of the best that's out there. I'm not bragging. But to know that most of the military is aware of what's going on, says they're not going to go along with the globalist takeover, that's got to really cause a problem. And I'm not saying I'm behind this. I'm one small part of it, but I'm a gauge because I interface with these people on the street, you name it, so I know how awake they are. Does the establishment realize that they still currently say don't go to Infowars.com and don't go to your site and a bunch of others, as you know? Don't they understand that's backfiring with the Streisand effect squared? We'll be back with James Wesley Rawls, survivalblog.com. I'm Alex Jones with the answer.
We spent over a year trying to put together something for somebody, for everybody, especially working with Alex and the team over here at InfoWars Life, to create a product that would focus on helping people clean environmental chemicals and toxins from their body and how to detox those from the system. We have a lot of good products over here, from the X2, all of the liver cleanse products, the Oxy powder, the Winter Sun. I mean, you name it. Down the line, everything is great. Today, though, I'm really excited because this is something that you guys have the exclusive for, which is a product called Deep Cleanse. And why I'm so excited about it is it's a unique formula, almost like the iodine crystals. We have two unique products that nobody in the world has. One of the most amazing ingredients in the world, and it's called shilajit, and it's actually known as blood of the mountain or rock sweat because thousands of years ago, as a matter of fact, this ingredient was only given to the elite of the elite. Thousands of years ago, up in the Himalayan mountains and in Tibet.
And we wanted to put this in stuff for a couple years, but we couldn't get an organic form.
Right. I mean,
so let's explain. I mean, this stuff's so good, we couldn't put it out for years.
Right. So I had to actually, it's kind of like the iodine crystals, finding a source deep in the earth that we could get the cleanest source available. But in Tibet and in Nepal and in the Himalayan mountains, thousands of years ago, they watched these monkeys. And during the summer months, the monkeys would go up into the mountains.
Now you're being racist against monkeys.
And they would pick this black substance from the mountains. And so in Russia, they actually, it grows in Russia in the mountains and in the Himalayas and only in the summer. And shilajit is actually the decomposition of up to 7,000 different medicinal herbs. So it decomposes, all these different herbs decompose in the Himalayan mountains and the volcanic soil up there. And what happens in the summertime...
So it's almost like an oil from
Yes, it's high in fulvic acid, it's high in humic acid.
Because they're always claiming oil is really from decomposed animals and plants. There is some oil that is based from fossils, but most of it's really abiotic. But so this is a true fossil source? I mean, explain it to me.
It is, it's really the decomposition, like I said, of over 7,000 different medicinal herbs and plants. And with the rocks and the pressure deep in the mountains, it freezes and during the summertime and the pressures build it up.
It oozes out.
It oozes out. So it literally oozes out of the mountain.
It's like rock sap.
It's like rock sap. It's black and it's highly nutritious. Even in the 1980s, when the Olympic athletes in Russia were accused of being on steroids, they found out that they were actually been given shilajit because it works as an anabolic as well, and it builds muscles. It's a big dose in there. The second big main ingredient in there is a volcanic zeolite concentrate. And what this formula is designed to do, the shilajit and the zeolites have a real strong negative charge. All the metals and chemicals and PCBs and VOCs have positive charges. So these go in, they grab it, and then they safely eliminate it through the body so you can become healthy. I mean, this is an amazing formula. I wish I actually had it, but because this was an exclusive InfoWars Life product, you're the only one in the world that has this formula now. And you know, there is going to be a limited supply available when you sell out because you can only harvest this once a year.
How do people take it? How is it recommended that this be done? Just a daily dose?
Yeah, daily dose. The instructions are on the label. You know, of course, I kind of modify it for each individual. It depends on what your lifestyle is. I mean, honestly, the best thing to do is for you to avoid all these chemicals and toxins in your environment and try to identify them and start slowly reducing them. But personally, I'm going to probably take it every day, every other day, and I'll probably go with about a dropper full to maybe 2 dropper fulls. And I don't expose myself to any chemicals, but
it's out there in the air. It's in everything. Well, I mean, I tell you what I do. I've never been a supplement person. I keep it now on the kitchen table with a Lazy Susan, and when I just make myself take it all every day, I feel so much better. InfoWarsLife.com. Please also support our local AM and FM affiliates, support their local sponsors or become a sponsor, and spread the word. Because these aren't just great products. This is how we fund this independent operation. We're not taxpayer funded like MSNBC or NPR, and neither is your local station. So support them, folks. This is a war. A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Introducing Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com, a scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.